Friends, what is going on? I am your host, Adon Moss, and we have a special guest tonight. Oren Weisfeld happens to be in Mexico gallivanting, having tequila sunrises on the beach. Don't know where Sahal is. Kyle's got Valentine's Day. So my brother, Nathan the Dog Moss, is on. Nate Dog, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, bro. I appreciate it.
It's our pleasure. Unfortunately, you are attending for a game that was possibly the worst of the year. Arguable, perhaps the loss to the Pistons was worse, but this one comes close to second as quite poor. It just didn't look like they had it tonight. The Pelicans ended the game 120-90. They won by a big old whopping 30 points. Thoughts, Nate? General thoughts on what you saw tonight?
Well, it was clear the Raptors didn't have it from the jump. I thought New Orleans put the ball down the floor, got into the paint very easily early. There was no ball movement from the Raptors at all. We had 5 total assists. New Orleans had almost 4 times the number of assists. And this loss is, of course, nuanced. Toronto was flying in from Toronto, having battled Denver, Houston now, and that was after coming off of a road trip. So I think, I'm not alarmed by this loss at all. I think it was pretty forthcoming that the outcome was predictable.
Yeah, don't forget the Super Bowls last night too. So who knows what kind of little shindigs they had. But yeah, you mentioned the assists. I wrote down the stats in the first quarter. We were down 12. We shot 1 for 7 from 3, whatever. 0 free throws. Okay, that's concerning. And 1 assist. It was 9-1 in assists. So this wasn't like this was, I mean, a lot of these were gimmies that weren't dropping. They're missing their open shots, but you felt generally this team was lackluster. They didn't have the energy. And you're right. I mean, when you go into as a fan, you go into every game expecting success. And really, I'm gambling with the Raptors expecting success. But then when you zoom out and you think about this game was inevitable. Like, they have been working their tails off for a month and a half straight now. There were games where I thought, okay, here it comes. Like, they're just not going to have the vim and vigor to come back. And then they did. And they would run a press or whatever else and get back in these games. And you could just tell tonight that it was just utter exhaustion. For example, a lot of backdoors, a lot of sloppy passes, a lot of missed gimmies. You watched OG move like a brontosaurus. Like you could watch him walk down the court, and obviously he's battling JV, which is just utterly exhausting. But he looks like he needs to go into a cryogenic chamber for 48 hours. A ton of penetration. All of their threes were short, so it's just all of the major signs of tired bodies tonight.
That's the key thing to look for a fan. That whenever the jump shot are falling short, that generally means that players don't have the leg, and that was obvious tonight.
Yeah, obvious. And when you have your starters who are playing the number of minutes that they've been playing, that's when a deep bench is critical, right? You have a guy, a spark plug that can come off the bench and kind of turn the tide or hold the fort while the starters get that blow. And because we don't have that, this is no news here that we don't have it. That's what's going to happen, is that you're just not going to. You're going to lose the minutes on the bench as well. As it happened, our bench played okay. Boucher had 15 points, 6 boards. He got to the line 12 times, which is, I want to write about this. That the number of offensive fouls OG draws on offensive rebounds, or sorry, Chris Boucher draws on offensive rebounds. It's quite something to watch. I've mentioned this before. He did it again tonight. He drew another one. So Boucher looked like he had energy, which is always encouraging. Yeah. Any thoughts on? Well, and then another bench player that we have to mention is Thaddeus Young, and he looked like he had energy, as he mentioned in the pregame. He hasn't played essentially for a month and a half, so he was ready to roll. What did you think about that?
I was tremendously pleased with what I thought from Thaddeus Young. Went up for an offensive rebound and got it. Held his own on defense versus DJ McCollum, which I thought was pretty good. So yeah, I think the Raptors are getting a guy that knows how to play basketball. He just knows how to find the open spot when he doesn't have the ball. He has vision. He'll get the pass to the right guy, and he brings energy. He hasn't played hardly at all for San Antonio since San Antonio decided to go young. So for him to have the energy tonight, mind you, it was in front of his birthplace, which probably helped. But he looked really good tonight. Yeah, I was quite pleased.
I asked producer Chris to grab this clip because it's really the only point where the only play where Thad creates for himself. But this is like, pinnacle Thad Young in his career, like flying downhill, using his shoulders and his hips and his long legs and long arms to just like tornado his way down the post. So when you saw it, or when I saw it, I got really excited because like this is the kind of stuff that Thad can do. And like you said, he got his hands on some balls. He got a couple of offensive rebounds. Him and Scotty had a nice give and go. Someone mentioned that his handles, Guru mentioned that his handles need some work. Yeah, I mean, the dude looked rusty. Like, you can almost feel his hesitation when he threw up the ball a couple times to take some shots. Like, he mentioned in the pregame that he was trying to stay in shape, like running suicides and doing all this kind of stuff and playing with the video crew. So he's clearly, not played like high level basketball in a little while.
Yeah, so I think expectation should be tempered because for those who really follow the game, you guys know that there's nothing like game speed, right? So you can do all the do or die with the video people and run with the bench unit and the scrubs and practice, but there's nothing that compared to game speed. So it'll take a while, and I would think that expectation for that should be tempered for a little bit.
Yeah, and he's like Nurse mentioned, he took him into the classroom and was trying to teach him, get him up to speed on all of our plays. You saw in the inbounds play, he kind of, I don't know if even that was his fault, but it's going to take him a while to get comfortable with the system. No problem. But it was encouraging to see the minutes that he did play and that he didn't really look out of place, and in fact could add something that we're kind of missing off the bench. What did you think about Birch's minutes?
I thought Birch looked really good. I thought he was an extremely good roller tonight, as he usually is. I thought he looked a little overmatched versus JV, but that, we all know that
Who didn't?
That the Rap, if you want to say weakness, they don't have a true bid, and so they're gonna struggle with that. But I thought Bertie kind of like I like the old version of Dadian, doesn't have the handle, doesn't have the downhill speed, but another guy who will just play predictably well and not make a lot of mistakes. And I thought Butch was really good tonight. Yeah.
Yeah, I've always said Birch is like the high floor, low ceiling guy, and he hasn't reached that high floor yet, just because he's been injured and everything else. And the last couple of games, he showed that he's kind of getting back into it. And tonight, he looked very comfortable. And Chris found this tweet from the Athletics, Eric Corrine, which says Nurse says he'll have to evaluate in future about whether to roll with starting five against a true big or to use Birch and Achua. And I was actually going to bring this up, which is that sometimes what frustrates me with Nurse is that he doesn't really adapt to the situation as much as he could. And I appreciate that having Scotty at your five, quote unquote, or OG, whoever you want to say is at your five with JV creates an interesting mismatch on the offensive end. But at some point you have to, like, accept the fact that you have a talented 7-footer who's got like 80 pounds on our next guy. And I think Birch could have played that starting role tonight. Yeah, Dal L just said it. And this is another reason why I don't think we went after a big center, is that I think Birch can play it effectively when we need him to fill, those 15 minutes against the big and throw his weight around. And I thought he showed that tonight.
Even though that the new predicting-less NBA, there are still some instances where you need them big guys, and I just worry hypothetically, if we go into a series, if we make the playoff after playing worst case scenario, and we go into against a team like Milwaukee, and they've got a bigger team, and now, they will post up, and Giannis will post up. Ibaka now will be there as well. Middleton is a post-up guy as well. So I worry about their depth from that standpoint,
Yeah, I mean, we saw it with Jokic. I mean, it depends. Like, the thing is we saw it with Jokic. Jokic went totally nuts in the first quarter, like ate us alive.
But then we got him.
We got him, and we adjusted. And I mean, maybe that's just the difference between a high energy Raptors team and a low energy one. And yeah, Hayes ate us up, but that again had to do with our energy level. Like, how many backdoors or cuts did he have? Like, New Orleans was really out hustling and out cutting us, which is like really the only way we're going to stay with teams that are around our skill level or better than us.
I also thought we gave up a lot of stuff on the weak side, Clifton would drive to the opposite and back to the opposite corner, and also out of double teamed as well. Yeah. So I thought that was another sign of a fatigue, and I thought New Orleans ate it up alive that way when they weren't driving to the basket. They were able to clean to shoot 46%. So from three, so and we didn't shoot well at all from downtown, and that was more a byproduct of fatigue and ability. So I think the one thing for me that I take away from this game that I worry about, and I think it's a pattern, is the minute that the starters are playing. I don't disagree with you. I don't think we have an NBA caliber bench, but I also think it's a byproduct of Coach Nurse not being willing to trust those guys to the point where he won't even give them consistent playing time.
Yeah, well, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Like, the more you don't play the bench that can't play, the more you can't play the bench that can't play, right? Like, it fulfills itself and it becomes cyclical. And confidence becomes a big thing. Like, our bench is young as hell. Few of them have even, stuck in the NBA. And like, throwing them out for flash moments and yanking them whether they succeed or not is not conducive. We both watched Mike D'Antoni do the exact same thing with the Phoenix Suns, and it worked until they got to the playoffs, and then someone fouled out, or someone got tired, or someone got suspended, and then you had nowhere to turn. And we're kind of seeing the same thing with the Raptors right now.
And another example of that is John Thibodeau. You know, look
Yeah.
at what he did with his New York teams and his old teams in Chicago.
Yeah.
They broke down. So you gotta, even if your bet is a minus in terms of point differential, you have to give them minutes because they need to get into rhythm and they need to, because at some point the starters are gonna need a blow. And you know, for better or for worse, you need to give your bench you know, a good goal to get them into the flow
Yeah.
because you never know when down the road somebody's gonna get injured. I mean, Van Vliet probably caught him with his knee, but I hope that doesn't linger.
Well, Jesus, I thought Siakam was half blind. I was like, this is it. You know, there goes our season. Siakam's career is done. His cornea has been ripped out of his face. Um, I wanna talk about two things that Kalantar brushed on here. Again, this is like atypical Toronto Raptors, and again, I think it was exhaustion, but there was just zero ball movement, and it was kind of like this like retroactive I've played well, therefore I'm going to play well kind of attitude. It was like Gary was just throwing shit up, thinking like, well, this has gone in before, it's got to go in again, and not choosing his moments or early on maybe doing his Gary thing, but then not really picking his moments, and now you have like everybody trying to get their own. Guess
Oh, I
guess
think,
who
yeah,
had a worse shooting night? Gary Trent at 2 for 12, Scotty Barnes or OG? What do you think had the worst?
I would say it Dottie Bun.
It's kind of a trick question because they all fucking did. But OG went 1 for 5, Scotty Barnes was 2 for 10, and Gary was 2 for 15.
Yeah.
So, but you felt it with Freddie, you felt it a little bit with Pascal. Although I don't think they went to Pascal early and often enough because this guy is a superstar. Your offense is faltering, and I'd be curious to see what he did in the first quarter. But it didn't feel like he got a lot of shots up. Um, but yeah, everybody was trying to get their own, and there was just no ball movement like we're used to seeing.
Yeah, well, you know what? Charles Barkley said often says, you live and die by your when you live and die by your jump shot, you're asking for problems. And right now, Jerry Trent, whether it's fatigue or just a little clump, I didn't have it shot. So what he got to do is he got to penetrate. He got to grind that to the line, find the rhythm, and normally he's fairly assertive and aggressive. But again, tonight it was a fatigue thing.
Yeah.
If it continues for another couple games for Jerry Trent, then I'd be concerned. But like you said, I mean, we're not trying to cut corners here, but a lot of tonight was due to fatigue.
I agree, but I do think that again, this is kind of when I beef with Nick Nurse is that like so JT says here we have no big to get us
Yeah.
something inside. But it's like, and I bet the over, so I'm pissed because I bet the over on everybody. I'm like, this backcourt between CJ McCollum and Devontae Graham are, sieves. Like they're small. We're going to we're going to go to work on them. I think they're negative 35 in their last 48 minutes together.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
and there was no post play out of Scotty. There was one out of OG where he missed the dunk. They never went back to him. Like I just don't get what they're not selective. They run these plays for Pascal or for Freddie, and it's awesome. Or they'll do a pin down for Gary or a double screen, whatever. But they don't go to the bread and butter based on the team they're playing. And in this case, it would have been OG or Scotty in the post going to work.
Yeah, and I think Pascal, finding his matchup and going to the rim and doing cutting or going to the basket for a basket is great. Until you meet the night when you're 5 for 16 from the floor.
Yeah.
And then, where is that ball movement and not low post? They're gonna come. We've seen Dottie play very well in the low post. As a passer and as a scorer, he got a really old school game when it comes to his layups and hooks and floaters. And there was none of that tonight, and it was disappointing because the Raptors it kind of felt like they were all trying to get theirs and get this game over with. It's a low key night in New Orleans, and I think everybody did. I'm not assuming, but I'm, judging from what I thought, seems like the Raptors wanted to get the game over with and do it all by themselves instead of doing what they needed to do to win.
Yeah, totally. I mean, and we don't want to overreact to games like this.
No. I mean, again, fans don't sweat. They've got a day off now. They'll get ready for Minnesota. That's gonna be a really, really tough game. But don't fret about this game tonight. It was a one-off, and we'll see how they rebound.
Yeah, and so I was gonna say also, like, I'm not gonna overreact. I'm gonna criticize whatever. They were tired, blah blah blah. I do want to say that it is cause for concern in the sense that there will be nights where not everybody's hitting their shots, and Pascal hits like all three of them. Pascal, Gary, and Fred hit high level, high difficulty shots, and over the past 10 to 15 games, they've been hitting them at a pretty high rate. So inevitably, a game like this is going to happen where nothing's falling, and I think in the playoffs, inevitably those games will happen. And the question will be, how do they readjust and where do they find easier buckets without, having to run a full court press just to get a steal and a quick transition score.
Do you think, so what you're saying, Adon, is that you'd like to see the Raptors find a variety of ways to score so that, when it comes down to playoff time and everybody's got film and a day or two in between games and stuff, I we're constituted right now offensively. You're thinking we're a little bit too predictable?
Yeah, I mean, I think having many options is always a good thing. I'm just saying these are the kinds of signals that, and I'm sure the coaching staff is thinking about this. I don't doubt it, but these are the kinds of signals that you want to collect and think about moving forward. That we can't just roll our 5 guys for 40 minutes a game, especially when they're not hitting. What else we got? What else you got in your bag of tricks? And so these games are kind of those telltale signs. We're gonna go to our ad break. The wrap up is we're gonna do so. Nate, we do the Can-Am Taxman of the night. We don't really have a criteria for who earns Taxman of the night or why, but we do it. Typically,
what the name of the thing we're doing?
Taxman of the night. So, who was the Raptor basically that played the best tonight? Who would you name as Taxman of the night?
Well, you were talking about Bouquet earlier, and Otto kept to the line. I think he had 12 free throws.
Attempts, yeah.
And he didn't back down tonight. He bought it. He was one of the few Raptors that brought his energy level up to full speed. You can see on the board there, 15 points, 6 rebounds, 9 of 12 from the line. So unless he differ, I think he's our top man of the team.
No, I dig it. For guys who played more than 20 minutes, he had the best plus minus at -3. So yeah, there you have it. Chris Boucher, Taxman of the Night. The wrap-up's brought to you by Can-Am Tax. Can-Am Tax is a small business that helps other small businesses and other people with their taxes. We're heading into tax season. God forbid. I don't even want to think about it. Vijay Verma and his staff will help you out with all of your tax needs. You can check them out on Google and they'll have their Google review, or you can go visit their website. Tell them the wrap up sent you, and I'm sure VJ and their crew will be happy to help you out. And yes, I just did that all ad lib because I can't find the read. So maybe I'm the tax man of the night. I don't know. Went pretty well, I would say. Congratulations, Chris Boucher. What's that?
I could reel off the air.
Yeah, I'm a natural improv guy. That's just how I roll. I don't need reads. We're not doing film right now because YouTube frowns upon us doing live film review. So maybe we'll just hop right to the question period because it's 11 o'clock out in Toronto. And I know everybody's got to get up early and go to the truck convoy and tell the truckers how much of an asshole they are. So we'll go to questions and get ourselves out of here. Audience, lay it on us. Do you have any questions for Nate Dogg or me about the Raptors, about the All-Star game, about the bullshit that Jared Allen got chosen over Pascal to replace James Harden in the All-Star game? That's pretty maddening. There's really no reason other than Cleveland, I guess, is a better record and are hosting the All-Star game.
Yeah.
Nate, do you feel like Pascal got ripped off there?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I think we're biased, obviously. We all want Pascal to be there. I mean, 2-time All-Star is better than 1-time All-Star, for sure. But, Jared Allen and the Cleveland Cavaliers have had a very, very good season. And their fans deserve it. So, yeah, I'm disappointed that Pascal's not going to be there. But I think Jared Allen is more than deserving.
Yeah, I mean, he's good. Jared Allen is very good. Don't get me wrong. But I mean, he just gets lobs. That's it. Pascal literally just puts the team on his back and goes to work night in, night out. You can't even compare the two. It's literally incomparable.
That is true. That is true. I do agree with you there. Maybe it's a byproduct of, Jared Allen been consistent all the way throughout, and Siakam, he got off to a good but not great start. He certainly wasn't playing on automatic like he is now earlier in the season. So I think that might have played a little bit of it. But yeah, for sure, Pascal, the much more dynamic and quite frankly entertaining player for sure.
For sure. Higher usage, way more versatile. Probably on both ends more versatile. But whatever.
Well, yeah, but even for an All-Star team, would you rather see Pascal Siakam or would you be more entertained with Jared Allen?
I can't wait for Gobert and Jared Allen to go at it in the All-Star game. Nothing would be more thrilling. Can't wait. Litmus asks if the Pelicans are going to make the play-in. So let's see. They are currently 11th, which means they would be outside of the play-in. Interesting, the Trailblazers are ahead of them by a game and a half. The Blazers just beat the Bucks tonight without Giannis. Nonetheless, they were a 4-1 underdog, which I bet. And so that was a big win for Portland. So Nate, do you think the Pelicans get into the play-in? I'll also say behind them are the Spurs at a game and a half, the Kings at 2 games. The Kings blew one to Brooklyn tonight, who did not have Kyrie Irving. or the new and healthy Ben Simmons or Kevin Durant. And then the Thunder and the Rockets, who are totally out of it. So what do you think?
Mm-hmm. I think of the two, it's going to come down to Portland and New Orleans for me. And I give New Orleans the edge just because they have now a all-star level player in DJ McCollum, to do with BI, to do with KB, to do with Devontae Graham. And Portland riding a wave right now. They've got Diamond, he's on fire, and they're playing really well. But I just think New Orleans can get in there because they have a pretty not a fully competent lineup, but they have some real NBA legit talent, especially on the offensive end of the floor. So,
Viewers, you'll notice that Nathan didn't talk about the Lakers' potential plummet right out of the play-in, and that's because Nathan's a hardcore biased Lakers fan and assumes that they're just going to coast all the way into the 6th seed.
Well, a fan, before I answered that, a fan was that I'm confused. I thought Portland was trying to lose.
Well, they are, but they're still, a capable team. They're hot.
Well, if you may be trying to, that may be the thought, but when you get on the floor and you start vibing and you start making plays and you start making stuff happen and the chemistry there, the ball can really get rolling, no pun intended. And Portland got that right now. And so, yeah, on the outset, maybe it is rapid here, but they're playing really well and give them credit.
Yeah, they're definitely outplaying the expectations, and I'm sure management in Portland is like kind of biting their lip, or like they're like, this is good progress for the young guys, but they're supposed to be dropping for the draft. Portland has the Pelicans pick, I believe, so there's incentive here for Portland to bypass New Orleans as much as they have control over that, which they don't. But that's kind of an interesting thing to watch. I mean, I think the Clippers are going to fall back. I think the Lakers have no reason to show that they're going to keep moving forward. So I think the Pelicans have a pretty good shot. I'm interested. Do you think that trading for McCollum indicates that they think Zion's coming back this year?
It could be, but I see it more. I was watching NBA today on ESPN, and they were saying like New Orleans is in a position where even if Zion doesn't come back, you want to start looking to next year, and you want to still surround. If the goal is to still surround Zion, then you can do that without him playing actively. And DJ McCollum is a great piece to add to that Zion-led team.
Right.
So I think David Griffin over there in New Orleans made a really savvy pick up in getting DJ McCollum. He's going to help Zion and BI a lot.
Yeah, there will be no fat shaming on this podcast. We don't know what or why Zion is or isn't in weight, so we won't comment on that. We'll just know that those guys at that kind of size have immense impact on their body and joints. And
well, you and I always talked about Dan Bowie, right? What happened to him?
Yeah, Bill Walton, Greg Oden, probably Kristaps Porzingis, Yao Ming. The list goes on and on and on. It's just kind of a tragedy of these big bodies.
Yeah.
What else we got for questions? Anybody else do? Okay, Nate. Let me rephrase this. Where do you see the Raptors finishing at the end of the year?
Well, I think the obvious answer is if it is a one-off, the team is a one-off because of fatigue and travel and all that stuff, and they can get into the rhythm that they have been for the better part of more than 2 months now. Then, I think that they can be a playoff team and tip the playoff altogether, or tip the play-in altogether. Sorry. But I think that having said that, well, I think the Raptors can be a playoff team. I don't think they get out of the first round.
Ouch.
Because, pardon me?
Ouch.
Yeah, I did. You brought up some really good points tonight, Aiden, about their predictability on offense in particular. And they need a little bit more consistency when their main guys aren't throwing, which they can very often. I'll admit that, but given days off and extensive film review and all that kind of stuff, film study, I see the Raptors making the playoff and tipping the plan, but I don't see them making out the first round.
Yeah, I think play-in makes sense. I was asked this after the trade deadline, and I said 8th, which, I also said that they could potentially make the Eastern Conference Finals, so I'm all over the place. But, when this team gets hot, they're almost unstoppable. And it just kind of depends on, obviously it depends on a lot, but I think their highs are very high. And if I were the Bulls, or I were Cleveland, or I were even the Heat or the Nets, I would be very nervous. And frankly, 76ers now with Harden less so. I think the Bucks over a 7-game stretch could really hurt us. But I think there are a few teams in the upper echelon of the East that want to battle the Raptors for 7 games. And whether win or lose, that's encouraging to me. I like that we're going to be a hard out for whoever we battle.
I agree, and I think too that when the Raptors are on, their defense is incredible, and they can really make life miserable for a lot of elite teams. So as long as they got that defense going and they're flying all over the place and getting deflections and steals and making it hard for opposition to get into the flow, they have a chance. And so I agree. I think, let's not make too much of the predictability on offense. I got into my own little biases about tonight. But yeah, I think when they lock down on defense and are able to start their offense that way, off of their defense, they're very, very tough to beat.
Okay, final question for you, Nate. We talked about this a little bit. Guru asks, why not play Utah earlier?
Because I think with Utah, at this point, you're looking for something more than energy. You're gonna get energy from Utah, and it's great. I am very much appreciative of athletes that did it all, but at some point, you want to see some refined skill there, and I think Utah has the skill level to do it. I just think it's finding that confidence and that discipline to be able to make it shot consistently and handle the ball and not be too fast and slow down a little bit. And I think for Utah, at this point, if I'm the coaching staff, I'm looking for something a little bit more than energy. I want some consistency.
Yeah, that's a good answer. I like that. I think tonight of all nights, you could just use energy, but what the hell? Nate, who do you got in the 3-point contest? Zach LaVine, Desmond Bane, Karl Anthony Towns, Freddie V, CJ McCollum, Luke Kennard, Patty Mills, and Trae Young. There's only one right answer, by the way.
Well, I'm gonna go with, well, obviously we want a Van Vliet in it, right?
Yeah.
Well, obviously we want them all to win.
Right answer. Excellent. Good job.
Yeah. But if I had to pick somebody, it would be Luke Kennard. He got a
The duck.
delivery. Yeah.
Quack. Okay, well, you could take that to the bank. I bet there's some nice odds on Luke Kennard for three-point contest right now. So, Nate Dogg, we had New Orleans tonight. On Wednesday, we have Minnesota. Then, thank the Lord, the Raptors have a 9-day rest. I hope Pascal doesn't get into the All-Star game now just so he can go and, like, relax and chill and recharge. OG needs to like go hibernate. I kind of think of OG as a bear anyway. I think he needs to go hibernate, like literally just sleep for like, a teenager amount of hours, like 40 hours.
Yeah. But I look at it, Adon, and they've got the All-Star break, but then they're right back on the road with that back-to-back, and
Yeah, so they go Charlotte and Atlanta, which are huge games now, and then Brooklyn, which are fun. I love when there's those little back-to-backs.
And you've got Detroit there too.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Detroit's actually a big win because we have their second rounder now, so we need to beat them. But yeah, so after the All-Star break, it gets business gets serious. So let's look forward to this rest. Nate, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. You saved me from just doing this on my own with Chris in the background prompting me. So I appreciate you giving your insight and grand basketball knowledge.
Anytime, bro. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
All right, Toronto fans, go get some sleep. We'll see you on Wednesday.
It'll get better, we promise.